What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Deadpool 06. Today we're going to be talking about the C8 putting down these what some people claim to be fake numbers, the 558 rear wheel horsepower and 505 or 515 torque. I'm not sure if the numbers are fake. I don't think they're fake. At least I hope they're not. But yeah. So with the 15% drivetrain loss, it comes out to about 650 crank horsepower and about 606 foot-pound of torque, which sounds like crazy, seeing as the numbers were like 495 and like 470 or 460, whatever the numbers were. I can't ever remember a time where the dyno numbers were so dramatic, far respect out by Chevy. But there's a good explanation for it. The SAE, which is third party with a different method that causes a severe amount of heat that kills the power to the car. Their methods were totally different from what Motor Trend did, so that may be the reason why you're getting different numbers. I can totally see it. I totally understand it. But still, that's a crazy and drastic, a drastic amount of difference with those numbers. But nonetheless, it's something to be excited about. You know, the car already, it looks like it's going to be a sub 3 second 0 to 60 time, 2.8 0 to 60, a quarter mile, between 11.1 and 11.4 at like 123, 121, 123, somewhere in that range. So with better cooling, which I'm pretty sure they had better cooling, they let the car cool off, things of that nature, you're able to get good dyno numbers like that. I think the car is going to perform well. I love the car. I plan on getting the C8. I love the design of it. I would probably wait until the C8 Z06 comes out because I'm kind of a Z06 guy, even though I love Corvettes. But yeah, those numbers are, man, they're crazy, man. To have that much power to the rear wheel of the first mid-engine Corvette, 558 horsepower, 515 torque, that's a game changer. That's a big time game changer, and I'm looking forward to seeing some more testing of this car. I can't wait to see more testing. I love to see it on a tire. With a tire, I'm pretty sure that should be a 10.8, maybe even 10.7 car, bone stock with a good tire. So it sounds amazing. It sounds very exciting. I can't wait to see them on the road. I can't wait to get a review. I can't wait to test drive one. I just think it's going to be a great car. The Chevy engineer stated that a single chassis dyno usually registers higher outputs than advertised. So, they use a single chassis dyno, so that may be the reason for the influx in those numbers. But still, with that type of horsepower, that type of range of power for a bone stock first ever mid-engine Corvette, that's a game changer. I can only imagine what the Z06 would be like, and definitely only imagine what the ZR1 would be like. So it's an exciting time to be a Corvette guy. It's an exciting time to be a Corvette owner. It's an exciting time to be a car guy, period. These cars are coming out with great power. Every year, cars getting better and better and better. And I can't wait to get my hands on one. So yeah, guys. It seems like the car is going to be, it's going to be out of this world. It's going to be able to compete with a lot of the supercars. I don't know if this will be classified as a supercar. I don't know, but I guess to Americans it would be our very own supercar. Chevy version. Ford already has the Ford GT, so I guess Chevy will have their own version of a supercar. Finally. But yeah, guys, this next clip will be of the guys from Motor Trend who dyno the car, and they give their perspective of what happened with the dyno and everything they did to get those numbers. So check it out.
I'm Miguel Cortina, Managing Editor of Motor Trend en Español.
And I'm Kim Reynolds, Testing Director of Motor Trend.
So today we're going to talk about the surprising results that we got from taking the Corvette to the dyno. So we're wrapping up Car of the Year and we have the mid-engine Corvette one more day. We decided to take it to the real MPG test, but turns out that they don't have the right equipment for it. So our plan B is to go to the dyno.
The first question was what gear ratio to use.
Yeah, we called Chris Walton. Chris's best guess was to do it in 5th gear. We did 4 runs in 5th gear and then runs 5 and 6 were done in 6th gear. I was there with Angus Mackenzie, who's our international bureau chief, and we see ridiculous numbers. In terms of torque, it went from 515 at the wheels, which means it's about 606 pound-feet of torque at the crank. About 558 horsepower, which means after drivetrain losses, it's 650 horsepower. So I think the takeaway here is that the Corvette is producing about 150 more horsepower than what GM is telling us. We couldn't just sit on this and scratch our heads and say this is a ringer. So we called Chevy engineers to find out what was going on.
And they actually found that this engine was well within tolerance, so there was nothing out of sorts with this thing. It wasn't super tuned. It was a very ordinary Corvette engine. So after the conversation with General Motors, what we finally discovered is the difference between the SAE certified measurements that they're reporting and what we saw is the methodology.
The engine was certified by the Society of Automotive Engineers, the SAE. And so the SAE acts like as a third party and follows these super strict rules.
A normal dyno pull, as you witnessed, you put the car on rollers and you tie it down and you run it. The SAE certified method, the car doesn't just accelerate quickly through its RPM range, but it goes through steps where it runs at certain RPM levels all the way up to red line. So that's much more stressful on the engine. It's generating a lot more heat. So you're going to end up with lower numbers.
And so these 495 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque are given to Chevy, and so Chevy has to stick with those numbers. It's not Chevy coming out and saying, our car is making this. It's actually the Society of Automotive Engineers saying, this is how much your engine makes.
Right. So which of these numbers is true? The 495 that Chevrolet is claiming or the 650 that we saw?
I'm leaning more towards the 650 that we saw, but also to make sure that the car that we got wasn't a ringer. We're going to be following up with this story in the future. So once Corvette owners get their cars, we're going to ask them to come into the same dyno. We'll pay for the dyno runs, and we'll see if their car is making the same amount of horsepower and torque numbers that our Corvette was making.
Right, so it's 650 with a footnote.
Yes, with an asterisk.
Right.
I mean, regardless if your Corvette has 495 horsepower or 650, you're still getting a really good car that drives amazing.
Yeah, a car that does 2.8 seconds to 60 miles per hour, that's the number that really matters.